It's a bit low down. Okay, I'm obviously here to talk about something extremely exciting, and that is the fact that I got promoted at work. So this is a bit of a weird one for me to film because I feel like it's been ages, like since it's actually happened. I don't even know where to start. I suppose if you're new here, then hi, welcome. My name is Eleanor Marie Rose and I run this publishing YouTube channel where I do other videos as well, but essentially I have interviews with people from the book publishing industry and I talk about what it's like working in publishing, the book publishing industry. So maybe let's talk about the way that I actually got into the industry, because there is a traditional route, which is the fact that you go to university, you study like English or English literature, English language, and then you do a master's in publishing, and then you do some sort of internship, get into publishing. I feel like I talk about this a million times, but basically I didn't go to university. Instead, I did a college course instead of sixth form, which was like digital media and communications. I then was just working for like 6 months elsewhere, and I found an apprenticeship online, which was the first ever publishing apprenticeship. What this means is for 15 months I would be studying for, I think it was like a level 4 qualification, I want to say. I'd be studying for it, which meant that I had coursework to be doing every week, I had assessments, I had training days, but alongside that I was employed by a book publisher, and none other than Bloomsbury, which is a huge publisher here in the UK. So I was there for, yeah, just under 2 years, I would say, and I was employed as a production assistant. So I worked in the team that essentially made the books into a physical thing, going from a digital manuscript to a physical thing by the printers. But alongside that, as I said, I was doing this training, which meant that I had experience in other departments, which genuinely was like the best thing I ever did. If anyone's considering it, drop any questions you have down below and I'll try to answer, but it was just the most valuable experience because I feel like I know so much about publishing now. Obviously I'm biased, but I've spoken to a lot of people that have done masters in publishing and said that actually what I've done is more useful because you're getting hands-on experience. Rather than just reading a textbook about what it's like, you're actually seeing it in the flesh, you're meeting other teams in other departments. We had something called on-the-job and off-the-job training, which essentially meant I had dedicated hours in the week that I could do something other than my like 9 to 5 job. As someone that obviously enjoys things like social media and marketing, I wanted to help out in the marketing teams. So once a week I was helping the kids division, the adults divisions, whatever, do some of their admin stuff on the marketing and the publicity side, and this gave me hands-on experience on what it's like in terms of mailing lists and press releases and social media, that sort of stuff. It also confirmed the fact that I didn't want to be in production forever. I generally really like my job in production and I would never like discourage someone from doing that, but for my personality and where I saw myself in the future, I kind of knew that I was never going to stay in production. So I had this sort of experience behind me working in marketing and PR in publishing, and obviously I started doing this YouTube channel in lockdown as well. Then an opportunity came up to work at Bookish UK, which is where I am now. So I have since been a marketing and publicity assistant at Bookish UK in the children's publishing division, which meant that I was doing admin stuff, supporting the team on campaigns to publicise our books. As time gone on, and because we were quite a small team, it meant that I had ever-growing responsibilities and more things within my role. I believe that I grew quite quickly in my role and I learned quite a lot and picked things up, and I wanted to get as much experience as possible as well. I didn't want to be obviously doing admin forever. With how the restructuring worked in terms of our imprints, which is the lists within a company, so for example, I'm going to talk about Templar, which is the children's publishing list of picture books, board books, novelty books, pop-up books, those sorts of things. But then you also have a Piccadilly Press imprint, which is middle grade and primary school fiction. And then you have a list like Hotkey, which is our teen and YA and actually adult readers as well. So imprints are essentially a list and a genre of books. As I said, the way that things were shifting and the more responsibilities that I got, it then meant that I was taking over one of the imprints, that being the Templar one. What this means now is that I have been promoted to Senior Campaigns Executive. So I've skipped just the normal executive and I've gone straight to senior. It's weird in that I do marketing and publicity. That's not that common at the moment in the publishing industry, in that you normally specialise in marketing or publicity or PR, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. And I've always been the way that I like both. Like, kind of equally. Some weeks I prefer PR and some weeks I prefer marketing, and it's always changing, and I think, and I recognise that in the future I probably will have to specialise. As I said, that does change quite a lot, but at the moment I'm in a position where I'm really lucky that I get the experience in both. When I was an assistant, I was working across both in equal senses, and now that I've taken on the Templar brand, I'm heading up both the marketing and publicity. I was really passionate about this when we had a conversation in our team about how our department is moving forwards, and with the opportunity to just do marketing, I kind of pushed back and said, no, I'm not ready to specialise and I want to still do PR. To which they listened to me, and so now my title is the word campaigns instead of just marketing executive or publicity executive, because it reflects the fact that I do both. Marketing, if you're not aware, is like the digital side of things. It's paid stuff, so it's like social media, it's digital advertisements, it's partnerships, it's any fun posters and things you see. Whereas publicity is more public relations, so it's things like talking to press and journalists and newspapers, trying to pitch for interviews and feature coverage. It's also things like events and awards. So there is a slight difference, but it's totally understandable why people do cross them over a bit and kind of see them almost as the same thing. We essentially have the same job, which is to get the books out there as much as possible and get people seeing it and buying it. So I'm now Senior Campaigns Executive, as I said, which is really exciting, and I feel like in my head it was a long time coming, and I'm really glad that I now have that sort of like recognition in my team. I think that my team as a whole have been really good at sort of like building me up to be in the position I am, and obviously I wouldn't be where I am without my really supportive manager. She genuinely fights my corner all the time and listens to what I have to say and just like works with me really well. So what does this actually mean in terms of like what I do on a day-to-day basis? Well, if I just compare it to what the assistant role is, for example, the assistant role is more admin based. That goes without saying kind of for any assistant role in basically any industry, but essentially assistant roles are much more admin focused. Train has gone past. This is the trouble of living near a train track. There's trains that go past, especially when I want to do filming days. What this also meant is that as an assistant you are assisting the team, so you are supporting on their campaigns, where in my position now I am managing my own campaigns. So whereas before a marketer might have been planning the campaign, explaining how we're going to execute it, but the assistant might help with executing it, so they might do a couple of like publication day posts, they might help with submitting for an award, whatever it may be. Whereas now in my position I'm essentially managing those campaigns from start to finish myself. So this means planning it, liaising with the authors and the agents. It means running by the team in terms of how best we use the budget. It also means the actual execution of it. So any social media assets, I'm creating them on Photoshop or in Canva. Any filming or content I'm doing. It means any pitching to newspapers, magazines, podcasts, whatever. I'm doing all of that. It's definitely a lot more responsibility, and generally, like I was thinking about the other day, it's really, with the promotion, it's kind of sparked my interest in my job again a bit. I know that sounds really almost like horrible to say, but like it did get to a point where I was like, I'm doing a lot of the same stuff. I feel a little bit, you know, not where I want to be, and now it's kind of, now that I'm doing less essentially boring stuff, I'm doing the more fun stuff, and I have more responsibility, which for me, I thrive off of like owning something, and it's kind of made me enjoy my job more, and it's made me, because I have more flexibility, and especially within my team and especially within my company, you have a lot of flexibility, you have a lot of creative freedom, you have a lot of understanding if things don't go right. And I was speaking about this with a colleague the other day, how you are encouraged to just try something, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and they say, cool, we've learned. You're not sort of bullied or put down for making mistakes or anything like that, like, which I think from a learning point of view and just from like a job satisfaction point of view is huge, because there's less pressure to just always perform, but at the same time you are encouraged to do different things. And I think in marketing especially, that's really important, because you want to think out the box, you want to be creative, and with less pressure I think that's easier, and then you're more likely to be like, actually I really want this to perform because I have loads of passion behind it, which I think has definitely been the case for me recently. It's genuinely been so enjoyable recently. I think that I've just loved working solely on my imprint Templar. Before, when I was an assistant, I was across imprints, across 5 different imprints, which meant I didn't really have as much to do with the books as I would have liked to. I was working across dozens of books in the year, and I never really had that kind of like personal touch with them. They were almost just books to me, whereas now I'm working on a lot fewer books. Still a lot, don't get me wrong, there's still like 60 odd books or something I'm working on this year, but it basically means that I have much more of a personal connection with them. I have the time to dedicate to them. I have more thought going into them. I can actually read them. I can get through all of them as well, especially with picture books. They take like 5 minutes. That's been like amazing in that sense as well. I think it's been really clear from the start where I want to go, and I think that me and my manager have got a quite good relationship in that I plot out what I want to achieve and she has sort of similar goals to me as well, so I think that I even know where I'm going from now on as well. I'm really excited to see how some of my campaigns perform once they are finalised. I've had a couple of campaigns finished, and what that means is the book is now published, it's out in the world, but it also means that the advertising and the marketing campaign is finished, so I've come to the reporting end because it's been a few months now since I've been doing this, so my work as such has come to an end, and so I can look back and I can do reporting, which in marketing is heavily important. You look at marketing metrics like click-through rate and impressions and how many sales you've actually made on the book. So I'm really excited to see how some of my campaigns perform. I'm really excited for a particular couple of books in particular as well, because I've done something completely different with them. I'm just more excited to just learn, get hands-on experience, work with the teams closer as well. Like, again, with the sort of editorial teams, the sort of project management teams, I was working with so many different people before, which was great, but you never really got to know the people that much, whereas now I feel like I have my teams that I talk to on a regular basis. As well as sort of the campaign and the almost like more obvious side of my job, I've also taken on a couple of extra responsibilities. So for example, I'm managing some of our media partners, like an influencer agency that we work with. I'm managing our TikTok channel, so if you want to follow Books for Kids UK, I'm recommending picture books and stuff on there. But internally as well, I'm doing more stuff like, well, since I joined, I set up these networks like the Mental Health Network and the Disability Network. I'm now the social committee sec person, so like in-house planning Christmas parties, that sort of thing. So I feel like in terms of my career, I've really had I had honestly like a bit of a lull, and now I've picked back up again, and my enthusiasm is back, my creativity is back, my willingness to learn and improve is back. And yeah, it's all just very positive. So I wasn't going to do a video about this because I just sort of like it feel like it's obviously been a few months since I've had this role and stuff, but I think that especially on my publishing channel, it's all about publishing, it's all about my experience, and it's about what it's like working in the industry. So hopefully this gives a bit of an idea of what you can expect and give you a bit of an insight into my life as well. So as I said, if you have any questions whatsoever, do drop them in the comment section down below, and I'd love it if you were to check out my other videos as well if you're interested in publishing, marketing, publicity, whatever it is. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you in my next one. Bye!